Welcome to Eternal Elements Learning Podcast, brought to you by Atyasa Online. These podcasts are a part of the audio certificate programs on Atyasa Online. You're free to take these podcasts on your desired portal also, should you only wish to learn on the go. Thank you so much for engaging on these podcasts, and you can connect with the author on LinkedIn, Twitter, and Facebook. Hi, this is Niket Karajagi from Eternal Elements, brought to you by Atyasa Online. We're talking about grand strategies. In my earlier podcast, I talked about liquidation, which is a grand strategy that involves the sales of assets for their salvage value so that the business can be shut down or hived off. It's actually hiving off is divestiture. Liquidation is just selling off. That's the distinction the one has to make. Now, liquidation, typically, people tend to ask me, how can that ever be a grand strategy? Well, it is, because ultimately it's an objective that you're meeting. It's an aspect of business that you're meeting. Now, if the liquidation is a process, that means the selling off of assets at the salvage value is happening smoothly. You're able to pay off all the debts and minimize losses for the equity holders. However, what if there is an abrupt change in the environment? What if everything was going fine and all of a sudden things just collapse? Anything can happen in life. What if the liquidation process itself fails and all of a sudden all your vendors, everybody, all your stakeholders just refuse to work? That's when a company is set up for bankruptcy, and that's our Grand Strategy 12th that we're talking about. When a company is unable to pay debts, you're unable to pay your dues, you become totally bankrupt. That means what's happened is there is no money left in the coffers. There is no cash flow. There's nothing in reserves. It's all over. Business failures are increasing day by day. And they're increasing day by day because we're dealing with volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous scenario, or the VUCA. It's a firm where now there is an unabated decline of revenues over various quarters, and expenses have increased rapidly, and thus becomes extremely difficult for the organization now to be operative. And that's when the organization files for bankruptcy. You file for bankruptcy with the regulator or the court. The harshest resolution is that now the court decides that the decline cannot be reversed and the business cannot be sold as a going concern anymore, and therefore the liquidation is done as per the bankruptcy code. The court appoints trustees who collect the property of the company, and these trustees then proportionately give away money to the creditors on pro rata basis. And then finally, everybody who has whatever dues are paid off. It just terminates the business. Most situations, the regulators in the court give a conditional second choice, where it is asked to reorganize itself. And you could actually have a set of people who are professionals who can be appointed to restructure the company. A lot of times this happens. A lot of countries have a set of professionals and a board which is for restructuring of organizations which are becoming bankrupt. Else, the other option is you can seek protection of bankruptcy from the court. That means nobody can file a lawsuit. Though this is a great thing to happen, but it is often misused. It's up to the courts on what they decide. But then, I believe as a consultant, if you're an entrepreneur, you must know how to emerge out of bankruptcy. And emerging out of bankruptcy is that one has to sit down and put the thoughts together, work hard, put in the creative essence, and with a determined intent, decide that you will emerge out of the bankruptcy. There are so many companies which have emerged out of bankruptcy, and every time they've emerged out of a state of bankruptcy, they've done phenomenally well, because that is the confidence that the firm has. As it emerges from the competency, as it emerges from the bankruptcy, because the competencies are no longer the competencies that are helping you, and that's what is creating the bankruptcy. And as you emerge out of those core competencies that you built, and as you emerge out of the bankruptcy, you start creating new core competencies, you start creating new behaviors, you start creating new knowledge, you start creating a whole lot of new IPs and processes, and that can be amazing, and the organization can actually shift orbits. However, since we are talking of bankruptcy is the 12th grand strategy that an organization can exercise. Bankruptcy and our strategy of liquidation are two strategies I wish no organization would ever want to get into. Thank you very much. This is Niket Karajagi signing off from Eternal Elements, brought to you at Tessa Online. We're going to be talking about the strategies of partnerships, and they're going to be the strategy on joint venture. There is going to be a strategy on strategic alliances, and there is going to be the final strategy on consortia. These are the three podcasts that we have in line for you. Stay tuned. Keep listening. Thank you very much. This is Niket Karajagi signing off. I'll see you in the next podcast. Bye-bye.